Alright, the Rockets had the standard defensive game plan against the Knicks, because they assigned their bigs onto Hart whenever he was on the floor, then assigned Tari, Dodo, or even Tate onto Karl, and there were a couple reasons for that. First, it basically made Hart ineffective, because even though he's gotten better at shooting, teams still don't really respect him from deep, and that forced him to be the screener if the Knicks wanted to attack the Rockets' bigs, so that put him in a role he's not accustomed to. Then second, it didn't allow Karl or Mitch Robb to be the screeners, because the Rockets could just easily switch those ball screens, and there was even a stretch where Mike Brown had to play them both so that there was at least one of them available as a screener. The only time the Rockets were matching up traditionally was whenever Hart was off the floor, so that was the main reason for him not playing the entire fourth. But at least the Knicks were able to still find some advantages throughout the night, and a lot of that was either through Brunson or Karl. In Brunson's screening actions, the Rockets were having their bigs show, so he just had to get off the rock for the others to exploit the backside advantage, and it was no different whenever he was hunting Reed, because Reed was trying to hard hedge. Then for Karl, he was getting a lot more post dumps than usual, and I assume that was because of the inherent mismatches to exploit, so he was able to finally play some bully ball. I guess the Knicks don't trust him unless it's a clear size advantage, because I still think they can find him inside way more than they do, and as seen in this game, he got into a rhythm, so making the conscious effort to get him the rock worked. But they weren't only dependent on their stars to create, because all of them were always pushing the rock off their stops, so there was a consistent pace to their offense, and that was allowing him to catch the Rockets' defense not being set. A lot of that was stemming from the Rockets' turnovers, because the Rockets were way too sloppy with the rock, so a lot of the times, they were either losing it whenever they tried to push in transition, or whenever they tried to drive into gaps from all the Knicks stunting, and they were even getting called for a good amount of offensive fouls for the Knicks to capitalize on dead ones too, not just the live ones. But the turnovers weren't the Rockets' only offensive issues, because early on, K had the rock in his hands damn near the entire first, and he couldn't exploit the Knicks' bigs for being in a high drop, so they got off to a very slow start. I think the Knicks' bigs were just doing a good job of containing him, and allowing OG to recover back in front or at least get a flyby contest, so it took until the second before they could get their offense going, because they finally started getting more variety. Their second unit was playing through LP as the hub, so he was either attacking his matchup up top, or allowing the others to exploit the space against the Knicks' bigs dropping in their screening actions, and they were running more pin downs, staggers, or backsides to do the same. Even their pace increased, so they were able to start catching the Knicks' defense not being set, and all K had to do was play within the flow, because the others were eating, especially in the weak corner from the Knicks constantly having their low man pull over early. But I still think they could have used K in the post, because the Knicks were tilting Albi's post touches, so they probably would have done the same against his, and I was surprised to see the Rockets not getting him any at all. That just forced him to only play from up top, so his touches just continued to be ineffective, because whenever he tried to exploit the Knicks' bigs, or whenever he tried to hunt a smaller defender to get OG off of him, it was causing their offense to stagnate, and that stagnation eventually caught up to him down the wire. At the start of the fourth, their second unit struggled to replicate what they did at the start of the second, and somehow, their turnover issues only got worse that quarter, so once K subbed back in, he couldn't save them, because he obviously never got into a rhythm. By the time they started making shots, it was already way too late, because the Knicks were already on a 22-6 run that shifted the momentum in their favor, and they capitalized on that hard to complete the 18-point comeback. All they did was push the rock off their stops to catch the Rockets in transition, and in the half court, they were able to still play through Karl in the post, or Brunson just hunting a matchup he wanted, because the Rockets were even having to go small at times, so they were switching 1 through 5. One thing Brunson consistently does well is not force the action, because throughout the night, He was just making the right pass for the others to exploit the backside advantage, and once his time came down the wire, he knew he had to start frying on his ones, so he went on to take him home. But that was to be expected, and what wasn't was what he did on defense, because he drew 2 crucial charges, so his biggest plays weren't even what he did on offense. All the themes of the night came back around in the fourth, because the Rockets never found a solution for their stagnation on offense. Brunson drew one of those charges earlier in the game, and even Alvarado had his own crucial steals down the wire, including one from the blind side he also made earlier. Just watch the tape.